had 45 minutes. 45 clear, uninterrupted minutes. That never happens. I sat down, did everything, cleaned the desk, made the coffee, opened the notebook, started the playlist, and then Spotify updated, and my writing playlist was gone. It had been reorganized into some algorithmic mess, and I just couldn't start. 45 minutes, and I spent all of them looking for the playlist. Then it was too late. The window closed, and the thing I actually wanted to write? Still blank. Let me tell you what this sounds like in my head. Okay, the playlist is gone. Fine, I can find something else, but it won't be the same. That playlist had the right tempo. It's what I always write to. If I use something different, it'll feel off. And if it feels off, the writing will be off. And I only have 45 minutes, so I can't waste time adjusting. Better to wait, rebuild the playlist, and do it properly tomorrow. And it's not just the playlist. It's the whole setup. If I don't journal first, my head isn't clear. If the desk isn't clean, I can't think. If I haven't had the right coffee, not just any coffee, the specific coffee, something feels incomplete. And if even one piece is missing, I tell myself, okay, today isn't a good day for this. I'll do it when conditions are right. The conditions are almost never right. I've written maybe 4 times this month. My routine takes an hour. The writing is supposed to be the point, and somehow I'm spending more time getting ready to write than actually writing.
I know that exact negotiation. I had it 2 weeks ago with my morning exercise. I have this sequence: specific stretches, specific warm-up, specific playlist, specific time window. The whole thing takes 35 minutes before I even start the actual workout. 2 weeks ago I woke up late, had 20 minutes total, and instead of doing a 20-minute workout without the warm-up, I skipped the whole thing. 20 free minutes, 0 exercise, because I couldn't do the warm-up, which raises a question nobody really asks. When did the routine that was supposed to help me start become the reason I couldn't? Here's how it starts, and it's so reasonable you'd never question it. You try something new: writing, exercising, meditating, studying. The first few times, it's hard to start. There's friction. Your brain doesn't know what ready feels like yet. So you build a little runway, a few steps that help you ease in, and they work. But here's what happens next. One morning, you have a great writing session, and you happen to be drinking a specific coffee. Your brain files that away, not consciously. But the next time you sit down without that coffee, something feels slightly off. So you add it to the routine. Now it's clean desk, open notebook, make the coffee, start. Then a week later, you journal before writing, and the session goes well. So journaling joins the checklist, then the playlist, then the phone ritual. Each addition made sense in the moment. Each one showed up alongside something that worked. But none of them necessarily caused the good session. They were just there when it went well. And here's where you can catch this pattern in your body. Think about the last time your routine got interrupted. Not a big disruption, something small. The wrong mug was dirty. You got interrupted mid-sequence. You didn't have time for the full setup. What happened in your body? For me, it's a very specific, unsettled feeling. Not quite anxiety, more like this low, persistent wrongness. Like a picture frame that's slightly crooked, and I can't stop seeing it. My attention keeps drifting back to the missing step. And even if I force myself to start, there's this low-level static that won't clear. The work feels unanchored. Now compare that to what you feel when the full routine is complete. That settling, that click, like everything's in place, and now you're ready. That contrast, the agitation without the ritual and the calm with it, that's the pattern. The sequence has fused itself to the feeling of readiness. Not because the ritual creates readiness, but because your brain stopped separating the two. Think about your own startup sequence. Whatever you do before your most important work. Now imagine this. Tomorrow morning, you sit down and everything is ready. Except one step. One thing is missing. The rest is perfect. Just one thing off. Could you start anyway? Notice what your body just did with that question. Did something settle? Or did something push back? If something pushed back, if there was a tightening, but I need that step feeling, then the ritual might be carrying more weight than the work it's supposed to support. Not a verdict, just data. This isn't a discipline failure. There are good reasons your brain does this. The first is something researchers call illusory control. Ellen Langer's foundational research showed that people can develop inflated confidence in their ability to influence uncertain outcomes, just by being personally involved. Later, Hobson and colleagues looked at ritualistic behavior specifically and found something interesting. Performing a ritual sequence can genuinely reduce anxiety before uncertain tasks. But not because the ritual changes the outcome. Because performing a controllable sequence creates a feeling of control over something that's inherently uncertain.
But the ritual really does lower my anxiety. I'm not making that up. I genuinely feel calmer after the routine. That's real.
You're right, it does. And that's what Hobson's research points to. The anxiety reduction is real. The question is whether it's those specific steps that calm you, or whether doing any controllable sequence would have a similar effect. Because that's what the research on compensatory control suggests. When outcomes feel more uncertain, people tend to lean harder into behaviors that restore a sense of control. And for some people, that can mean the pre-work ritual keeps growing. Not because the ritual helps more, but because the uncertainty demands more structure.
So the routine that was supposed to make starting easier is also a way of managing how scary starting feels.
It can be. Not always. Not for everyone. But it's a pattern worth noticing. Because the third piece is what makes it sticky. Gollwitzer's research showed that simple if-then plans help people start. When I sit down at my desk, I'll open the document. That's a runway, short, functional. It gets you to take off. But when the plan turns into this elaborate, rigid sequence, 15 steps that all have to happen in order, then a tool that was supposed to lower the barrier can start acting like a barrier itself. Especially when the whole sequence has to be complete before you can begin. Let me show you where this lives. Because it's not just morning routines. Someone who can't study unless they're in a specific spot at the library, with a specific drink, with their notes organized a specific way. If the spot is taken, they go home. 4 hours of free study time. 0 studying. Someone who can't exercise without the full warm-up, the specific gym clothes, the pre-workout, the tracking app loaded. They have 20 minutes between meetings, enough for a solid session, but not enough for the full launch sequence. So, nothing. Someone who can't have a difficult conversation unless they've rehearsed it in the shower, written bullet points, planned the exact opening line, and chosen the right moment. The right moment never comes. The conversation doesn't happen. 3 months later, they're still rehearsing.
But the routine does help. I'm not imagining that. When I do the full sequence, I really do write better. The journaling clears my head. The playlist gets me in the zone. It's not superstition. Those things actually helped.
I believe you. And I think that's true. Some of those elements probably do help. The journaling might genuinely clear mental clutter before you start. The playlist might genuinely help you settle into the work. Those aren't imaginary benefits. But here's the question the ritual trap hides. Which items on your checklist are actually flight critical? And which ones are superstitious additions your brain filed away because they happen to be there during a good session? And here's the part that makes the trap so sticky. Your brain can't easily tell the difference, because on the days you did the full ritual and wrote well, all those items were present. So your brain says, it all worked, so it all matters. You never tested which pieces actually mattered. And the ritual made sure you never had to.
So the ritual isn't just helping me start. It's also stopping me from finding out whether I could start without it.
That's the lock. The ritual works. And because it works, you never find out that you could work without it.
I built the checklist to help me fly. And now I can't fly without... Wait, no, that's not even it. The checklist wasn't supposed to be the thing. It was supposed to get me to the thing. But it grew. It just kept growing. Until the runway replaced the destination.
That's the ritual trap. Your brain mistakes the preparation sequence for the ability itself. The routine that helped you start has become the only way you feel able to start. And because you never take off without the full checklist, you never learn that most of it was never flight critical. Here's the experiment if you want it. It's called the Runway Check, and it takes 30 seconds. Next time you sit down to do your thing, whatever it is, write down your preparation steps. All of them. Every single thing you do before the actual work begins. Then look at the list and ask one question for each item. If this step were missing, could I still start? Not, would it be ideal? That's a different question. The question is, could I still start? Is this step actually flight critical? Or is it something my brain filed as necessary because it happened to be there during a good session? You might find that some items are genuinely helpful. Great, keep those. But you might also find that half your checklist is superstitious. Not harmful on days when you have plenty of time, but on the days when you only have 20 minutes and skip everything, those are the items that turned your runway into a barrier. Let's try one right now. Think of the last thing you wanted to do but didn't, because conditions weren't right. What was the missing condition? Now ask yourself, was that condition flight critical or superstitious? Whatever came up, clarity, defensiveness, uncertainty, that's information, not a verdict, just data. You don't have to dismantle your whole routine. The runway check isn't about eliminating preparation. It's about knowing the difference between preparation and permission. Between a runway that helps you take off and one that got so long you forgot you could fly.
So the routine isn't the enemy. The part I never questioned is.
Exactly. The not questioning is. Here's the challenge. For 3 days, run the runway check once before your main activity. Write down every preparation step. Then mark each one, flight critical or superstitious. Track 2 things. First, how many items were on your list? Second, how many survived the "could I start without this" test? Drop your report in the comments. Day 1 runway check. Total items on my list. Number, flight critical. Body, what I noticed.
I didn't lose my ability to write. I didn't lose my focus. I just let the checklist grow until it started deciding for me. So quietly that the deciding stopped being mine.
The routine isn't the problem. Routines can help you start. The problem is when you stop checking whether you still need the whole runway. You built this sequence for a reason. The checklist doesn't remember what that reason was, but you do, if you look. One tiny aha at a time.